Welcome to Don't You Forget About Me, the New Wave Music Podcast. My name's Steve.
And I'm your friend T-Bone.
To welcome you back, and we're going to be discussing the latest album from Duran Duran.
And then we will cover the most recent album from Erasure.
You might remember Duran Duran. They had such big hits as Rio. Wild Boys.
Looks like they'll try again. Wild boys, never lose it. Wild boys, never try.
And View to a Kill.
Chance to die, but can we dance into the fire? That fatal kiss is all we need.
They have a new album out, if you did not know. Future Past is their 15th studio album.
Right. And it's interesting because being 2021, their first album came out in 1981. And so it has literally been 40 years for them making music, which is just impressive to me.
Nice. And I don't know about you, T-Bone, but for Duran Duran, I was kind of shocked that they started releasing singles for this back in May, because I didn't really hear much of it until right around October when the album dropped.
Yeah, I think they had, plenty of time, just like plenty of other artists during the pandemic, where they could create the music that they were interested in doing and then slowly start releasing it.
Yeah, and funny you say that with the lockdown, but this album, a lot of it was actually written and ready to go prior to everything shutting down. So.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I did not know that. And that's really interesting because obviously they had the album Paper Gods before this one. And so if they had material that they'd already working on, then they had been very busy.
Yeah, and I mean, the only little bit I read on this was John Taylor describing Future Past as they wrote a lot of lyrics prior to the lockdown. And they said many of the songs were about dealing with emotional crisis or long-term intimacy issues. And they came back to it after the lockdown. So the lyrics were still relevant after being in lockdown, and the album, well, that's what they went with for the album.
Yeah. So we still have the main core of the band. We got Simon Le Bon, of course, on vocals, John Taylor on bass, Nick Rhodes with synths and programming, Roger Taylor on drums, and Andy Taylor and the band had disagreements years ago, as well as he had some mental illness issues. So he left the band after being with them at different times over the years. But Graham Coxon, who is actually the guitarist for Blur, came in to not only do production on the album, but to do guitars. And I don't know how if you feel the same or not, but I thought he just blended in perfectly.
Oh, I didn't even know he was on that album.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it fit right in. So let's jump into the album. The album opens up with the song Invisible.
As the talking goes, it's a one-way flow. No fault, no blame. As the memory's gone, are you feeling numb? And have I become invisible?
What can I say about this song? But T-Bone, I love this song. I loved how it just was catchy, kind of slapped you in the face.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's the first single off of the album. And it starts this album with a strong beat. And it also has kind of a, I'm not going to use the word grunginess to it, but it does start off with kind of a lower bass kind of sound.
Kind of gets a little bit more raw.
Yeah. Definitely
grunge,
far
but
more raw. Yeah. And I think that's the perfect word for it.
But let's make no mistake, this is classic Duran Duran.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it really kind of just melds into the rest of the album, which has a lot of different styles to it, as we're going to talk about, but it's a great way to start it.
Yeah, I would agree. And to me, this first track, the way this starts out was so much better than their last album, Paper Gods. It was one that just did not connect to me.
And that's odd. I thought it would have, because I really quite enjoyed it. But I mean, obviously we're not talking about that one today, but I thought that was a really good album a few years back. But let's continue on this. The second song is called All of You.
Every night, every day, I want all of you.
Really, I'm not in love with John Taylor, but you're going to think so after listening to this podcast, because his bass kicks in on that song in high gear, and there is no stopping him. I absolutely love this song.
I agree. That's some of my notes I even put on there. Is I love how it just opens up with some great bass work.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. And I know he's, obviously has years of experience. I think it shows on this song. It really just pumps right in. And
it pumps in. And I love also how the drums will just mellow. It does a great job of leading right into the chorus. The lyrics are great. It's kind of, to me on this, it's kind of a song that back in junior high, you probably would have gave it to your little girlfriend or wannabe girlfriend on back in the day on a mixtape.
Oh, yeah. No, it would have been perfect for that.
Yeah. Classic love song, classic Duran Duran.
And then up next is the third song, Give It Up.
Anyway, lover, what you think I'm gonna do when it's all over? I'll give it all up for you.
And it features Swedish singer Tove Lo, who I'm a huge fan of.
I did not know who that was until this album.
Well, I don't know who it is either. I'm just kidding. But to be honest with you, though, I really did enjoy her background vocals on this album. I thought they were lush and they fit in really well with the song.
Yeah, I agree. Her vocals definitely do add a depth to the song, like another layer.
Yeah.
Just goes perfect with it.
And I mean, we're not quite to the title track yet, but the album name, as you mentioned, Steve, is Future Past. And one of my favorite lines from this song is, "We are heading to tomorrow today." And I really thought it was interesting how, and it's not a science fiction-y kind of thing, maybe like, how we talked about Tom Bailey previously, but there is kind of a future push on this album. I think it really works well for them, especially after all that time that they've been in the music business.
Yeah, and they've been around for 40 years, and I think it's kind of coming full circle back again with their sound. To me, this is classic Duran Duran.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, and I mean, right now, I think we're so far at 3 for 3. This is
definitely 3 for 3.
Great song, but, it even gets better.
Yeah.
Because number 4, go for it, Steve.
Number 4, Anniversary. This one is just classic Duran Duran. Opens with your classic synth, classic bass guitars, keyboards, and even some cowbell.
Well, yeah, this is a celebration of their 40-year history, and it's so funny that you brought up the cowbells because in my notes I've got the very same thing. For me, the highlights of this song are, again, Taylor's bass. I just think it's absolutely fantastic on this song, and the cowbells used during it. I did not expect that. Don't know that there's another Duran song that has cowbells.
No,
but you can never have enough cowbells.
I agree. The only bad thing I'd say about this song is it's just a shame it's not getting the exposure it deserves.
Well, the whole album is not really, I mean, these guys are living legends. And that's why, as we've said many times, that's what we're here for. We're trying to bring this music out of its little hiding place and hope that, it gives them the exposure that they still deserve.
I agree. So we're 4 for 4.
Absolutely.
Which leads us into the title track of the album, Future Past.
So don't you cry for what will never last. Each moment created in time.
It's one of the few ballads on the album. I do like this one. I really liked how when it kicked into the chorus, it kind of had a persona of trying to turning that song into a whole nother song, kind of went a different way.
I may even have liked it a little bit more than you.
I think the reason I didn't like this is just the album placement to me felt odd. If you're listening to this just from start to finish, you go from the building up to the high energy of Anniversary to then to Future Past, and we're just kind of
I can see where you're coming from.
Low.
No, I can see where you're coming from. I really found it to be a fantastic blending of where Duran Duran had been and hopefully where they're continuing to go. And I think that goes along with the title of the song itself.
No, I agree. I do like this one. Again, so we're 5 for 5.
And then we hit probably what is my favorite song on this album, and it's called Beautiful Lies.
What does it mean? How do I survive in your beautiful dream? In your beautiful life?
This song is straight out of the 80s.
Oh, the keyboard, no question.
Yeah, and what hit me initially is that this song could easily be paired with the best songs of Pet Shop Boys. I thought that they really,
I could see it.
I really thought that and they weren't trying to steal from the Pet Shop Boys, but the bass on it, the dance beat, everything reminded me of that kind of sound that Pet Shop Boys.
Oh, it does remind me of
produces.
definitely a club hit that you could see.
I absolutely love this song. The lyrics and everything. I just love the way that LeBon sings on this one.
This is one that I'm excited to see if they do like a remix or 12-inch mix of this.
They really should. I mean, it's definitely worth it.
And then we get into my favorite song on the album, Tonight United. This is probably my favorite one. Reminds me of vintage Duran Duran, just like Beautiful Lies did for you. I really like the chorus, how it kind of does that na 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 na.
Yeah, I actually agree with you very much on this. It has an outstanding chorus. And what it reminded me was of football, or as they would call it over in England, soccer song. Or no, I mean, as we would call it here in the U.S., soccer, but as they call it over there, football. And did you hear kind of a similarity to New Order's World in Motion from 1990, which was a football song for England? And I just found this connection between the two songs. And I don't know if that was intended, but I really think it's kind of a rallying cry song.
Yeah, no question. It does also come along very well. It's very united with vocally and musically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you know what's interesting? I don't know if you have this in your notes, Steve, but both Beautiful Lies and Tonight United were produced by Giorgio Moroder, who obviously has done some of the biggest dance hits over the past 50 years. And it is the first time that Duran Duran has ever worked with him.
Really?
And really think they need to look into having a much longer partnership.
Oh, no question. So far, we're over halfway through the album, and we agree 7 for 7.
7 for
tracks.
7. Yeah, this album is not disappointing.
Well, let's talk about number 8, Wing.
On a wing of innocence, fly me out of here. Surrender faith, but I'm holding dread.
To me, this one, just the opening, it sounded kind of subpar for Duran Duran. It really reminded me of one of those lesser from the 80s James Bond themes that you would hear. Playing, very forgettable. It's the one track on the album that I just did not really care for.
Well, it's another ballad from them, and it's not the strength of the album, although I think it does have some great guitar work on it. But yeah, I have to agree with you that it didn't really leave a really strong impression with me.
Yeah, this is one definitely that I will be skipping going forward.
Yeah, it's not. It's unfortunate that we've had so many good songs in a row, and then one that, at least for both of us, did let us down a little bit.
Yeah, and then another ballad after that, Nothing Less.
I wanna thank you for all the loving, baby. 'Cause nothing gained ain't lost at all.
This one to me is a great ballad. I like how this one works, especially chorus kicks in. It's a good way to get the album back on track, especially from that last previous song, Wing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's another mid-tempo ballad. It has some very lush synths on it, and that also highlight LeBon's vocals. Mm-hmm. In addition, I really enjoyed the background vocals on it. And so what I really liked about it also is the background vocals on it. They reminded me a lot of some of Paul Young's background vocals back in the 80s, the background vocals on his songs also. And I think they really match well with this song as well.
Yeah, and then we jump from there into Hammerhead.
Come hammerhead. Oh, you come show me my truth. I'm coming for you. Wearing my skin, wearing my skin, wearing my face. Oh, what part of me is...
This one again features probably another one of your favorite artists.
Yeah, Ivoran Doll, an absolute favorite of mine. No, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is prior to this album.
But it does have this song. Now, I do want to say my positives and negatives about this song. Now, for me, the positive is that it has a great funky sound from the synth and the bass, and at times the synths actually reminded me of an old 8-bit video game. But unfortunately, this Ivora Doll, and Duran Duran has done this with the past couple of albums. They bring in somebody who is considered a rapper. This artist has this obligatory rap in the middle of the song, which personally I found very tiresome.
I'm the marrow to your bone, voice set in stone. This is the inevitable, something you already know. The pain is immeasurable. You're gonna pay the toll when it's all said and done. My name is written on your soul.
Inside, overall, what I thought was a really good song, but I just can't understand this collaboration.
I like the song, but it started off with a big distraction. Some of the lyrics are definitely not the strongest, such as Bang Bang Boomerang to open up the album.
How can you go wrong with Bang Bang Boomerang?
But I did like its kind of a cappella chorus. And I didn't really mind the rap. It was just kind of take it or leave it. But sounds like your bigger hurdle was the rap. Mine bigger was the Bang Bang Boomerang.
Yeah, definitely. You lyrics, me the rap. I just don't find it necessary in the song. I know maybe they're trying to appeal to a younger crowd with having some unknown rapper in it, but it just didn't do anything for me. I like the song. I just don't care for that rap mixed in there.
And then we get to More Joy. Again, probably following a T-Bone classic artist.
Yes, Chai. I guess, from what I understand, Chai is a pop punk Japanese band. Oh. And as you mentioned, Steve, the name of the album with an exclamation point is More Joy. That title says everything about this song.
Oh, yeah. It's just a fun song.
Steve, this is my new happy song. This song makes me so happy. I just love the bounce to it. Now, just to interject here real quick, my son is into a Japanese form of music called Hatsune Miku, which I probably just butchered the name.
Oh, never heard of it.
Yeah, it's some virtual singer. I'm not saying that it sounds like this is Hatsune Miku, but that Japanese kind of pop rock sound mixed into it reminded me of that. I don't know anything really about that style of music, but I've heard it, and it really, I think, kind of benefits this song because it makes it a little bit unusual, and I really like how it changes the tempo of the song, especially on this album.
Yeah, and definitely if you want to feel more joy, put on the song More Joy.
You will be as happy as I am every time you hear it.
Then we close out the album with Falling.
Falling to my senses, you fill up the heart of me.
This one features Mike Garrison. This ballad actually really works. Has a beautiful piano track to open it. Simon's vocals are on point on this one, I feel. And then the song, I think that you'd probably like this portion. I don't know if it's in your notes, but the song kicks into a great bass guitar mix as well.
Well, I'm going to talk about that here in a second also. But Steve, are you familiar with who Mike Garson is?
I've heard of the name, but it's escaping me.
He was the pianist for David Bowie.
That would make sense why there's a beautiful piano track.
Right. Yeah, the piano on it is fantastic. Now, this song is a little bit slower. It kind of slows down at the end of the album. But yeah, the combination of Garson's piano, the synths, and bass, I felt it created a dreamy landscape. I just absolutely love this song. It's not a big dance hit type song to end the album, but it is really, and especially with that piano work on there.
It's just a great one. I highly recommend to check that one out. So to me, with the exception of the song Wing, this is a very solid album. I haven't been this excited for a Duran Duran album probably since their 1993 Wedding album, or the Untitled album.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping we see Duran Duran on a tour for this album. I'd love to see them. This just screams like a big type outdoor concert.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the last time I saw them was in the early 2000s, and it was with the original five. Seeing them then was awesome, but absolutely love to see them with this new music.
Yeah, hopefully we hear a tour announcement. It's
I
coming
hope
up
so
at the beginning
soon.
of the year.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Now,
Yeah, and I think anybody who's a Duran Duran fan is really going to like this album.
Yeah.
Their sound they've just tweaked it a little bit, made it a little bit more relevant, but it's still your classic Duran Duran.
it really is. And the instrumentation from everyone is just stunning.
All right, so before we get into Erasure's new album, let's just jump into some brief music news.
So Steve and I are really excited about the following. Tears for Fears has a new album coming out, The Tipping Point. They have announced a tour. They're going to start off in Cincinnati on May 20th, going to run through July until they get to, looks like, New Jersey, or actually New York is the last one. And Steve and I will both be at the Denver show. We look forward to talking about that after we've seen them.
And T-Bone, what I'm kind of disappointed, I mean, I'm really excited to see Tears for Fears, but I really wish we would have had their UK opener.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, with us here in the U.S., we're going to get Garbage, which is not
the band.
Yes, the band. I'm not saying that we're getting a garbage band. We're getting the band Garbage. But absolutely, let us know who is going to be opening over in the UK, Steve.
Alison Moyet. So
Yeah.
our UK listeners get a nice little bonus.
I guess you could kind of say that she's a bucket list for me. I just don't know that I'm ever going to have a chance to see her.
And then just a couple other brief little tidbits. The Fixx and the Psychedelic Furs both abruptly canceled their remaining tours for the rest of the year, and we'll pick them back up in the spring of 2022. Speaking of the Fixx, they did just drop a new song or a new single called Wake Up. As Cy Curran said, it's intended as a call to clarity. It's more important now to be alert and aware. Life is not a dress rehearsal.
Baby, it's time, win or lose. Somebody from somebody ran free. I hope he makes it till then. Oh, we're suffocating.
A little bit different sounding than the Fixx as used to, or at least the opening.
When I first heard the opening music, I swore I was listening to Nirvana, which I was not necessarily happy about, but as it goes along, it worked for me. And then the last thing we wanted to mention before Erasure is that Billy Idol is going on tour for February and April. Interestingly enough, though, he is opening for Journey. Yes, you heard that here first. Billy Idol is opening for Journey.
And just a real quick, not really music news, but just a recommendation. We really focus on more of the established artists, but if you're looking for something new to listen to, California's Dear Boy just dropped another single, and admittedly, I'm a huge fan of theirs, but their new song reminds me something of you'd hear Vintage Smiths or even the guitar work on it sounds more like The Cure. Their new single is Say When.
We're fine on our own. They'll never leave us alone. You think I won't run again, but you just need to say when, say when, say when, say when, say when.
If you get a chance, check that one out.
All right, up next, we are going to talk about Erasure. And of course, you remember classic songs from Erasure, such as Oh L'Amour.
Broke my heart and now I'm aching for you.
Chains of Love.
Come to me, cover me, hold me. Together we'll break these chains of love. Don't give up, don't give up. Together we'll be in my baby, break the chains of love.
And Sometimes.
Ooh, sometimes the truth is harder than the pain inside. Yeah. Ooh, sometimes it's the broken heart that decides.
2020 album, Neon. That is their 18th studio album. Can you believe that? 18 studio albums in about 35 years.
I can't. It just seems like their last album to me was the one with Chorus from the 90s.
Oh, yeah. And that's a great album. But this is actually their highest charting album since 1994's I Say, I Say, I Say.
That's right. This album does open up with the song Hey Now, I Think I Got a Feeling.
You better keep away from them. I gotta go now. Think I got a feeling. Walk through the city, singing hallelujah. Reach for a lover's touch.
Yeah, it's a great way to start the album. Immediately things get moving with it as Andy's asking us to join in a celebration. I did want to say that I found this to be a dance album. Absolutely, it usually is.
Wait, Erasure is a dance album? I'm shocked.
Can you believe that? But this one I thought was a little bit more personal at dealing with the love that we have for those closest to us. You can see that in a lot of the songs, and it really starts off with
question.
Hey Now.
Yeah, and that one, Hey Now, does a great job of establishing it. It hits that classic Erasure beat and catchy chorus and an infectious beat. From there, we move into the second song, Nerves of Steel.
You're the object of my affection, nerves of steel, turning my direction, my desire and my intention, yeah.
To me, this was another solid track. It's a slow but subtle beat, kind of changes, it kind of keeps moving up those octaves as the song progresses.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite songs on the album. I think that Clark's opening synths and synth bass makes for you mentioned the previous song being traditional Erasure. This one was
no question,
could have come right out of one of their earlier albums, and I just absolutely love the vocals on this one from Andy Bell. Like I mentioned, this is one of my favorites off of the album.
And then we move to Fallen Angel.
Fly like a fallen angel, love just like it's second nature. I tried all of the things that give me love.
And T-Bone, this one just really did not do much for me until it kicked into the chorus. And then it's one of those that kind of gets stuck in your mind. Very infectious, a catchy, fun number. I love the line the lyric that says, "Fly like a fallen angel. I've tried everything that brings me to love."
Yeah, I think I liked it a little bit more than you. As a matter of fact, this is number 2 as one of my favorite tracks on the album. Bell, I believe he's given us stories of things that bring joy and love to life. And I do agree with you completely that the chorus is fantastic. And I really think it's some of the best that he's done in years.
Oh, no question. What'd you think of the song No Point in Tripping?
Ain't no point in tripping, it's only good for tricking the mind. I'm about to reach you, it's all about the...
Well, it's maybe not the strongest song on the album, but it does have some excellent synth work from Clark. At points, it actually kind of reminded me of his work on the first album with Depeche Mode. The instrumentation. Yeah. There's kind of
I could see that.
a little bit more of a simplistic nature to the synthesizers that he's using on it. As a matter of fact, I'll just interject this real quick. Clark did say that he went back and decided to use some of his older synthesizers for this album.
Really?
And so I think that maybe that's why I kind of got that hint of very early Depeche Mode on this song. It's not necessarily the strongest album or strongest song on the album, but I still think it's worthy.
I agree. And then we go into the Shot of Satellite.
You shot a satellite to catch your man alive. You spun a web of love for me. You make me come alive. There ain't no bitter edge. You're really coming through to me.
To me, this intro, though, kind of sounded a little too much like the prior song, No Point in Tripping, or listening to them back to back. They kind of blend. There's not really distinctive where you know which song's the next one. One was okay. It
All
just,
right.
to me, kind of gets lost in the album, but I think we're going to disagree.
I think we're going to disagree on this one. This is my third of my favorites on this album. To me, this is a party song. I absolutely love the little hum that he adds in to the lyrics. I thoroughly enjoyed this song, and I know where you're coming from, but yeah, I think we just have to have a little disagreement on this one. Nerves of Steel, Fallen Angel, and Shot a Satellite are my favorites off of this album.
And those are almost the singles. I swear Shot of Satellite would have been a single. Maybe it still will. And then we reach the song Tower of Love.
Couldn't cut your way through roses. See the wood for trees. Said your love would give you nothing.
Throughout this album, I've enjoyed the various melody of music and beats on this album. One thing Erasure does very well with their songs is they can hook you into a song with their catchy lyrics and melody and beats. This song, however, didn't have either. It was a very average song to me.
Actually, my least favorite song on the album. For me, it just lacks any energy or strong instrumentation of the other songs on this album, and the lyrics just seemed lacking. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was just something about the way that Andy Bell presented the lyrics that just did not really heighten anything for me on this album. But hey, that's why we're here.
Yep. And one thing with this song is it is the shortest, I think, on the album, but it does actually kind of listen when you're listening to it, feels like one of the longer ones, which is not a good thing sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and then we'll go into number 7, which is Diamond Lies.
What a sight for sore eyes with your diamond lies. I gotta stop pretending I can't take you now.
I think this is one of the better songs of the second half.
Oh, I agree.
It's structured very similar to earlier Erasure hits. And I really did like the sound on this one. The vocals, everything seemed to kind of match perfectly with each other. But what was your thoughts, Steve?
I like this one. I like it kind of gets the album back on track. This would definitely be back in the day if you had your cassette. This would be the start of the B-side that gets you catching into it. It kind of get you in with the hook. I enjoyed it more than the last couple tracks.
I think it's a great recovery after my feelings, at least, on Tower of Love. I think it really kind of brings the album back to where it should be.
Yeah. And then we get into New Horizons, which is the ballad on the album.
There will be new horizons. We will live to love again. You're my love, you're my savior.
I know you're going to be shocked with a big love song on an Erasure album. But
Yeah.
I love the message about starting over after a fight with a loved one. That
Right.
there's going to be new horizons that we live to love again.
Right. No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And it has great piano work from Clark on it. It's really, I mean, along with what you're saying, it is a wonderful song about finding hope
Yeah,
in love.
this one's not really a catchy dance one, but to me, this is one of the stronger ones on the album.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a ballad on an album. I mean, most artists will do at least one for each album that they do. I think this one is a very well put together song that fits in nicely.
Yep. And then we get into Careful What I Tried to Do.
You got fortitude and you find the means when you care about the important things. And you came along at the perfect time when I needed you. I was on my knees.
This one is okay. To me, this is kind of what you call a filler song. Didn't really leave much of an impression.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe liked it a little bit more than you. I think I enjoyed it both lyrically and instrumentally more than you did, Steve. But that's not to say that it's one of the strongest songs on the album.
And then this album closes out with the song Kid, You're Not Alone.
A letter that I wrote to myself and to those that I hurt to forgive my shortcomings.
To me, this is the skippable song on the album. It's nothing but pure filler. And I feel like when it comes to the chorus, that they're trying too hard to make this song work.
I agree with you completely. It's another ballad, really not a memorable song to close the album. It's not that it's not a decent song. It's just kind of a touch bland.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really add anything to the album. I really felt that the first half of this album was stronger than the second. On a positive note, though, you know what you're getting with Erasure. Even half of an album having great songs is welcome with all their years in music.
Oh, I would agree. This is it's probably like 75% of the album is very listenable and solid. So I would recommend the Neon. They did also come out with recently this year, the new NEEP or the NE EP
Yes, they did.
5 more songs.
Yeah, and I don't know what the deal is with EPs lately. I mean, we had the one from Andy Partridge. We've got one from Billy Idol. We've got one from the Erasure. I mean, everybody's putting out EPs lately. You know, I don't know how you feel about it, Steve, but and maybe you'll have a little more insight than I did, but I just didn't find them to be all that interesting of songs.
See, and this is where we're going to probably disagree.
Really?
I think the EP was stronger than the album.
Really? Now, see,
Really.
okay.
It opens up with the song Time, Full of Hearts.
To err is only human. I feel like I'm walking on air for a change, feeling and freedom of mind.
To me, this one's an infectious dance track, classic Erasure staples, pop lyrics, catchy melody, a beautiful chorus. I enjoyed it a lot. Probably my favorite song between the two albums.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really put a finger on what I felt about these songs other than for me, it just seemed like the 5 songs on the EP really could have just been additional tracks on the LP.
Yeah, and I wonder if they were songs that were left off. The next song it goes into is Same Game.
I do something wrong, stringing me along for someone at your side. Go ahead, enjoy yourself, as if I don't exist.
This one really reminded me of vintage OMD. You could tell, I'm a huge OMD fan, and I really enjoyed this music. It sounded almost like a tribute to them, musically wise, or lyrically and musically. Leaving.
Every time I try to let you go, you want to run a mile, let you roam like a river, waiting for the day I can call you mine. I ain't gonna cry, no tears for you. And don't...
It's a slower but enjoyable vocal one. Come On Baby.
What's up, baby, now? Tell me what's going on inside. Come on, baby, now. Come together, we can work it out.
Again, this one is pure classic Erasure. This is probably my favorite song out of both albums. I think I said that with Time Full of Hearts, but Come On Baby to me is probably your catchy Erasure classic that could go up there with their hits from the late 80s, early 90s. And then it closes out with the song Secrets.
There are too many times and too many tears that you caused by me. Can't we come together and share all our secrets on both sides?
I probably enjoyed it more than I should have. Sounds like I did enjoy the CP more than you did.
Yeah, I just didn't find anything necessarily interesting about it. It did feel to me just like leftover material that make the cut for the album Neon. They just decided to put out on an EP. I mean, for me, Neon is a really fast-paced album.
Yeah.
The songs aren't very long. Most of them go very quickly. It may not be quite as memorable as their first few albums, but I found it to be a very, very strong effort. But yeah, the knee EP just really didn't feel like that it was a necessary to me, unless you were just going to put individual songs on upcoming albums.
And CT Bone, I think you really would like this news then. Erasure just dropped another EP this weekend that we're recording, the NEEP Remixed.
Ooh, remixes of an EP. Okay, now, well, to each their own, I guess.
T-Bone's going to have to go back and listen to some more Joy by Duran Duran.
Oh, More Joy, my happy song.
Thanks again so much for listening and downloading our episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you do like what you hear, please like us and subscribe. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play.
Yeah, and then, of course, if you do have any comments, suggestions, anything you'd like to say to us, send us an email. Don't you forget podcast@yahoo.com. We really appreciate your support. We hit more downloads of this podcast than we really expected was going to happen. And so it's been very encouraging. So we really appreciate your help.
And we'll be back on our next episode where it's going to be kind of all about the covers.
Yeah, and this is one I'm really excited about. The next podcast, we're going to cover 2 cover albums. And so the first one is going to be David Gahan and Soul Savers. He has a new covers album. Imposter, right? And then we're going to cover the, not the most recent Morrissey album, but his one before that called California Sun.
Looking forward to it. We'll see you guys next episode.